joining us here on News 20 on GTN. I'm Randy Gardner. We've got a great show for you tonight. Joining me to my right, I should say a character. You're going to have a great half hour here with us tonight. George, the Shoeman Hutchings. Glad you could join us here on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy. It's good to be here with you.
All right. We mentioned the name Shoeman. No matter where you go in St. Louis, basically in the Midwest, people know who you are. I had to have you on to find out a little bit more about what this Shoeman Water Project is all about. I know that's an open-ended question, and we have 30 minutes here, but for the people out there who have seen it, but they just don't know what it does, let us know.
I'm George the Shoeman. I turn used shoes into drinking water. And my motto is, I don't want your money, I want your soul. Your shoe soul, that is. You know, Jesus turned the water into wine. I turn shoes into water. He walked on the water, but I drink his wine. Now, we have a good time. We collect about 1 million pounds of used shoes every year. And then we export them, and they go to South America to roadside shoe vendors where people can buy shoes for pennies on the dollar. Now, you probably don't relate to people who do not have shoes, but I'm old enough to remember that in the summertime, I used to go all summer long with no shoes. And when people live without a pair of shoes, they pick up hookworms, mites, parasites, all types of diseases, parasites, and they live in a person's body. I have a picture in my office that is so ugly that I don't ever show it to anybody. It's a picture of a man who has never had a pair of shoes, and his feet are full of abrasions. So he steps on a 2-liter Pepsi bottle, and then he ties a shoestring around the spout of that bottle, and he ties that to his shoe, to his toe, and that becomes his shoe. Now the ugly part is that when he pulls up his pant leg, you see worms coming out of the calf of his leg. So a pair of shoes is very meaningful because it brings life to that person who would otherwise not have shoes. The money that we make from the export of, we turn around and buy drying equipment and water purification systems. And we've delivered 4 water drilling rigs to Kenya, and this week we're shipping another one to Haiti. So a pair of shoes serves 2 people, one with a pair of shoes and another one with clean drinking water.
To take a step back now, what actually got you involved in this? So many people are involved in different charity type events, but how do you reach out to this?
Well, back in 1999, I was helping a young man from Kenya go through college. And every time I would give him money, he would take used shoes and send them home. I said, John, why are you sending shoes back home? He said, my mom doesn't have any shoes, my brother doesn't have any shoes, my daddy doesn't have any shoes, my village doesn't have any shoes, and I'm in rich America, they think I should be supporting them. I said, John, you may be in rich America, but I'm supporting you. You know, I said, quit doing that, we'll take care of you first, then we'll take care of mom and dad. Well, he kept doing it, and the late Greg Freeman of the Post-Dispatch picked up his story. So John came to see me on November the 18th in the year 2000 at 8:38 in the evening. And so he knocks on the door, and I'm very hard of hearing, so he rattles the door, knocking so hard, he gets my attention and says, John, it's snowing outside. What are you doing? It's past an old man's bedtime. He said, George, you have to see the shoes. I said, John, I have seen the shoes. I don't need to see shoes. He said, not like this. So he took me to a warehouse downtown, and he had 30,000 pounds of shoes, all in white urethane bags, white polyurethane bags. He said, George, I collected them, so now you have to ship them. I said, thank you very much. So I went to see Mr. MasterCard and Mr. Visa, and we shipped those shoes. I am not that attached to Mr. MasterCard and Mr. Visa. But for a long time, they kept coming back to see me every month. So thank you very much, John. But we took these shoes over, and that was my second trip to Kenya. But then I was introduced to a whole nation that had no shoes. And gee, you see these older people, you see the kids, they're walking down a gravel road or they have to cross asphalt, and they have no shoes at all. And so that became like a spit in the ocean because we couldn't provide shoes for the whole country. And I knew that 6 months later, these shoes are going to be wore out. And we had lifted all of our blood, sweat, and tears and our financial strength to make this happen. And yet, it seemed like it wasn't a spit in the ocean. The next year, the cards of life were dealt to me a little differently. And we fed 21,000 meals to orphans and refugees. And then the next year, we took a team of neurosurgeons from Washington University School of Medicine to Kenya, and they did over 100 surgeries on children with large tumors on their head. Still, I saw a nation that was sick. And then we shipped container after container of medical supplies. We made an agreement with the former president of Kenya, President Moi. Hospitals would donate medical supplies to me, and then he would pay for the shipping. Well, we did that for several years. In 2007, John was killed in the election. He was running for member of parliament and may have won his seat. We think that it was a politically motivated assassination. I thought, okay, my time in Kenya is over with. In 2008, in March, I was invited to go to Living Waters International in Houston, Texas, and learn how to drill for water. I said, why am I doing this? But I go down and I get muddy and dirty. I was always the muddiest guy on the rig. That was also fun. When you're a kid, you like to play in the mud. On my way back, I said, okay, I've learned how to drill for water. I've learned the principles. I've learned the process. I can use a lightweight rig. Why is this happening? And I began to review what we had done. We had sent the shoes. We had fed the people. We had provided surgeries for people. But everything I did was a spit in the ocean. I couldn't sustain it. And I had exhausted myself. And when it came right down to it, I hadn't done anything. I'd done a lot of good stuff, but it couldn't be supported. And I'm thinking, water. I have seen the people with cholera. I've seen the people with diarrhea. I've seen death. And I said, water is a sustainable solution. And now our mission statement reads, sustainable solutions to global water poverty. And I think, man, if I could drill a well for a lady, that woman gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning and she will walk 6 to 8 miles to a river. And her number one fear is that she is going to be attacked. And who would attack her but the police or her army? She gets to the river and she begins to get water, and there's a cow standing in the river. When she gets the water, this is what she gets. Muddy river water, and this is all she has to take back to give to her children. And of course they get cholera or diarrhea. If I could drill a well for her, it eliminates a day of terror and a day of toil. Then it gives them health. They can drink clean drinking water. Then they have water for hygiene. I have an article on my desk stating that many people in Kenya get a bath once every 3 months, and they consider that a luxury. I asked my daughter some time ago, if you had a man calling on you and he hadn't had a bath in 3 months, what's his chances of taking you out? She said, he doesn't have a prayer.
Let's have you go ahead and hold that water up one more time real quickly. So we're on a close-up shot so you can really see exactly how dirty and brown that water is.
It's terrible.
I just listening to your stories here, I'm fascinated. And I know we take a lot for granted. But when it comes down to even the simplest of things like water and shoes, we have no idea, do we?
No, we really don't, until you visit a country like Kenya or Haiti or India or many countries of the world. According to water.org, someone dies every 21 seconds from waterborne diseases. Now that is foreign to our thinking, but when you get outside the continental United States, water is a big problem. It's free when it falls from the clouds, but it costs money to produce, to get it there. This lady that I was telling you about, now she has water for her garden, and she can grow and she can feed herself. Then she grows excess and sells that to the village, and then she has water for her animals. So it changes the entire economic complex of a village every time I'm able to drill a well.
What would you say to somebody out there who's watching today that says, well, will my one pair of shoes that I donate, whether it's 1 or 10 or 100, will it make a difference?
Yes, it does. It makes a large difference because a pair of shoes is going to be equal to maybe $1. And those dollars add up, and we are able to provide water. Well, one of the things we provide is water purification. A unit costs about $1,700. But last year we went to Haiti and we installed a water purification system on a 540-gallon tank. And before we could set the second one up, this system runs off a solar panel, it charges a battery, it sends an electric signal through the Ventura, and it strikes salt water. And when that happens, chlorine gas goes up through the system at the rate of 55 gallons per minute and makes the water biologically clean. So we set this system up on a tank, and before we could set the second one up, the community consumed 540 gallons of water 4 times before we were able to set up the second one. And we installed 5. We've installed hundreds of those around the globe. So yes, a pair of shoes begins to make a huge difference for one person, for 2 people. In that community, 1,300 people.
I have to ask you what it feels like personally, because I know when I go out and do charity events, whether it's just emceeing an event where they raise some money, I feel so good about providing.
Yeah.
But you're doing this on a scale that I don't think many of us can even start to comprehend. How do you feel when you lay down at night to know that you're changing the world?
Well, I sleep real good. but someone asked me that, and we just got back from Kenya, where we drilled for water. Can I tell you the story?
Sure, you're good.
Okay, we went to the Kamande Primary School in just 62 miles east of Nairobi, Kenya, right after the Westgate Mall was bombed. And we went through there. It took us 3 hours to get there because we had to drive through dried up riverbeds and potholes that were the size of a car. So 62 miles took 3 hours to get there. And we get there and the kids are singing and they welcome us. And then they went to get their buckets. They went to get their buckets to go on a water walk. We went with them on a water walk to the river to get water. When we got to the river, there was no water in the river. So they dug with their hands about 4 feet down into the sand. And then they came up with water like this. And they carried this water back. In the 8th grade, their education stops because there's no place to go to high school. We drilled a well. It went 500 feet down through granite. That is almost the height of the Gateway Arch. And the teachers thought we were putting water into the ground. They had never had any concept that water could come out. But we got the water and we hit a gusher. The kids had never seen flowing water before. We had a 6-inch pipe. It was about 12 feet long, 4 feet off the ground. And I tried to get them to get in and play, but they couldn't comprehend. So I got in and I got all wet. I put water in my hat, put the hat on their head. Finally, they got the idea. The happiest part was Grandma got in. She got her hair all wet. She took her first. I got to see Grandma have her first shower with her clothes on, that is. But Grandma got her first shower. And now they have clean water and they put up a sign, no more river. So we are, now the government is talking with the school and they are willing to build a high school on that same property so the kids can continue their education. And they want to put dormitories up so people can walk in and get a high school degree. And the community is building their first water tower to put a 10,000-gallon tank on. It will be the first of a series of towers, and they will be able to pump water to about 2,000 people. And someone asked me, how do you feel? I said, well, Mick Jagger used to sing, I can't get no satisfaction. He is like the Dead Sea. All the rivers run into him and nothing rolls out. But when you are a servant and you help something happen, your life becomes like a conduit, like the Sea of Galilee, where the rivers all run through and it will support life. And it gives you satisfaction to serve another person.
So when I think of Kenya and you talk about these wells that you're building, I think of, you know, dry land and everybody very spread out. Is that the way it is, that small communities that are all over, so one of these will contribute to just one area and then you have to build another one, or does one contribute to many areas?
No, because it's a large geographical area about the size of Nevada or the size of France. This one well that we just told you about will serve about 2,000 people, because people from a further distance cannot walk in to get the water. So it will serve about 2,000 residents. So,
what's the response of the individuals when you show up? They know who you are and they know what you're there for. Are you like a rock star when you walk in?
Kinda. Yeah, this school, they've been anticipating a well for 2 years. 2 years ago, my team went to this school. We did not make a promise of any well. We just showed up. But our appearance said, we are going to drill a well. I said, thank you very much. We had to save shoes for about 2 years. We had other projects, so we collected shoes for 2 years. They kept calling my point person, when is the Shoeman coming? When is the Shoeman coming? And they adopted a Shoeman song. I think it went like this: Shoeman, Shoeman, tastes great, wish I had some, can't wait. Anyway, I was wondering how many we're going to eat, but they have been anticipating and calling for 2 years. So then we get there, and so they are singing for us something in Swahili, and I heard them say the Shoeman, so I was smiling from ear to ear. Yep. Now, my best part of this was I like to play with the kids too, and I try to shake their hand, and they've never seen a white man before. They call me the white nose. And so, so I try to shake their hand and they pull back. Someone said they were afraid of my cowboy hat. And so I try to shake their hand. Finally, someone will shake my hand. Then they want to rub the hair on my arm. Then they want to rub the hair on my head. And then I've had kids go like this. They want to know if my white will rub off. And so they think I'm the witch doctor. So I sing to them the witch doctor song. I went to see the witch doctor. He told me what to say. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, wada, wada, boom, bang. And they just crack up. And so then I had to give a soccer ball to each class, and I had to make a speech. So I put out my hand, and the boy held my hand. I said, when my daddy wanted to tell me he wanted to be my friend, he would shake my hand. Then he would pull me over to him, and he would pat me on the back. And that meant Dad was proud of me. And then he would give me a Dutch rub, and that meant Daddy loved me. And before the week was over, the kids were all getting a Dutch rub. So it was fun to play with the kids and not be there for an agenda, but just to pass on a little bit of compassion and have some fun.
Would it be safe, before we talk about where people can drop these off and get involved, that you really enjoy what you're doing right now?
I love it. I'm having the time of my life. Yeah. You know, I'm 65 years old. I have 65 years of limited capacity. But I can see I'm trying to buy a drilling rig that will cost $300,000. And with this rig, we just drilled the hole that I was talking to you about. If we have our own equipment there, then we will be able to drill one hole a week of that nature. In a year, we would be producing water for 100,000 people. And the lifetime of a rig is 15 years. That means I can accomplish more with the vision of the future than I have in my accumulated past. We're going to be providing water for over 1,500,000 people in the next 15 years. So I have more potential in the future than I have in my past. It's a great life.
So to put this into perspective for somebody out there, again, sitting thinking, should I donate, and how many shoes does it take in that span to be able to accomplish what you want to do?
I need about 1 million pounds of shoes this year.
So 1 million pounds is equated to about how many sets
about
of shoes?
$300,000 so we can buy that rig.
So one set of shoes is about $1.
Yeah.
So about 300,000 pairs. Mm-hmm. It's doable, huh?
It becomes doable. I don't know how it is, but it hasn't gone viral. But people I just got a call from Columbia today. They got 800 pairs of shoes. I had a sixth grader in a school. She went to her neighbors, collected 3,000 pairs of shoes. I have people in Bend, Oregon, in Little Rock, Arkansas. They call me up and say, we have these shoes. Can you come get them? I say, I'll find a way.
So some of the questions I have, and I'm sure a lot of people out there have those, can you donate just one shoe if you can't find the match?
No, I need a pair. I need a pair because they are going to go to people to wear.
And what about quality of shoes?
As long as they don't have a hole in the bottom or a hole in the top, because once again, they are going to be used again. And I can take any style of shoe, a high heel or stiletto, whatever they have. You see, our mental image is that this is going to someone in Kenya with rough roads. But women in Nairobi work professional jobs, but they do not get a professional pay. And so they have to go to the roadside shoe stand to get their shoes. I was trying to buy a pair of shoes for my point woman, Joy. We went to a retail store. I said, I'm going to buy you your first pair of new shoes. A number 5 pump, black pump, was $300. I said, we're going back to the roadside shoe stand.
So are the roadside stands, are they just kind of everywhere?
They're everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is fascinating, and I'm trying to absorb it all in. So as far as drop-off points here in St. Louis, I've seen them around the area, but if they can't find a drop-off, they can always go to the website or call you. And
you can go to the website. We have a zip code finder. We have over 200 drop-off locations. And by the way, maybe people would like to become a drop-off location. We put you on our website, and when people try to find a place to drop them off, it drives foot traffic to that business and then they discover a chiropractor, they discover a grocery store that was never there before. And so it drives people to your business. So there's an exchange. We get the shoes, but there's an opportunity to create a transaction there.
What was the initial response of people in your immediate circle as you started to build this project? Were they on board, or did it take some convincing?
Well, they thought I was nuts.
But all good projects start that way, don't they?
I had a 1995 Ford Ranger that did not have two fenders painted the same color. And I drilled a hole in the hood, and I put a pair of cowboy boots on there for a hood ornament. And then I glued shoes all over. So you saw this one big shoe. It embarrassed my neighbors.
What do they think now?
Now they're proud to know me. They drop off shoes on my doorstep every day. I got somebody dropping off shoes.
Is this something that you could ever walk away from, or are you so embedded in it now and you see how much of a difference that it's really making? Well,
it's too much fun to walk. If I were to retire, what would I retire to? I mean, this is more fun than golf. It's more fun than fishing. What would I do? I just sit around and do nothing. This is fun. And
did you ever think that this is what you would do? I think there's a lot of forks in people's roads.
No, there is no school that you can go to make you the Shoeman.
But I can tell, as we mentioned before, so much passion about this, and to know that you're really making a difference globally. What do you see on a bigger scale? Is there a bigger scale once you reach that point that you mentioned where you want to be?
It gets bigger.
Does it move to the next level?
Oh, yeah, it gets bigger. The vision is the globe. And we have trained people in our Fenton offices to use the water purification systems and take them to Afghanistan. We have those water purification systems working in Uganda, in Sierra Leone, South Africa, in Malawi, South Africa, in Pakistan. People have come to us and they've learned how to purify water, and then they learn health and hygiene, and they take one of these units and they are spreading all over the globe. So we're doing small things like that, but if we can make this big move in Kenya, we get that established. We are sending, right now, we are sending a rig to Haiti. And in Haiti, the guy puts up a triangle and puts an auger, which looks like a great big screw, and he walks around and he drills a hole like this, and it takes him a month to drill that well. With this equipment, he's going to go down, put the truck down, put the rig down. He'll drill that well in 1 day. And so it's going to make a big difference in Haiti. We're making a big difference, but it is a global vision, a global solution to water poverty.
And for people who are just joining us, let's jump back to the beginning real quick. We had talked about us taking, so much for granted, and the difference between, if you want to hold up your dirty water right there.
That's what I call my dirty water.
We'll get a close-up shot of that real quickly. There you go. That is actually the water that they bathe in, that they drink, that they use on a daily basis.
That's right. And there's another nice aspect of this. The shoes that I'm getting, they're headed to the landfill. So we keep the shoes out of the landfill, we put them on people's feet, and we drill for water. Since 2008, we have kept almost 4 million pounds of shoes out of a landfill. We put them on people's feet. We think that we're providing water for about 250,000 people, all with things that we throw away. I think that's a hoot.
All right, as we start to wrap up here, you've seen periodically throughout the show how you can contact George at his website. You can call the office to find out more information. Just keep an eye out around town for the actual signs for the drop-off locations. And if you want to become a drop-off location, visit the website or call them at the phone number that's been listed on the screen. George, as we kind of start to bring this interview to an end, what would you want everybody to know out there about you and your project and your vision for the future?
Well, it's something that is doable. Everyone has used shoes. Not everyone has disposable income where you can make a contribution, but you can make a meaningful contribution with shoes. And I would encourage schools to do service projects. When people see our pictures and hear the stories, it helps to develop character. It works in churches, schools, scouts, businesses. Be a drop-off. Start a shoe drive in your location. We'll help you make it a success.
I was going to say, do you go out and actually give a presentation?
Oh, I do all the time.
Because you, I think, are the magnetism that makes all the difference. I've seen the signs. I didn't really understand what it was all about, but hearing your stories, just seeing your passion for it, it makes me want to take my shoes off right now and give them to you.
I'll take them. Deal done.
Sounds good. Hey, it's been a great time. You're doing a wonderful thing for,
Randy, thanks for having me.
the planet.
All right.
So best of luck in the future. If we can ever help out, you just let us know. Thank you so much. Once again, George Hutching, also known as the Shoeman, across not only St. Louis, but across the world, and right out of Fenton, Missouri, right?
Right out of Fenton, Missouri.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks for your time. It's been great.
Thank you, Randy.
For more information, you can visit shoemanwater.org, or you can call them at 636-751-8197. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time here on the show. We'll see you tomorrow night right here on News 20 on GTN. Have a good evening.